What if the biggest lie keeping you poor is the belief that you need a lot of money before you can start building wealth? Most people spend years waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect salary, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect amount of savings before taking action. They tell themselves that one day, when they finally have enough money, they will begin investing, learning, and creating assets. Yet that day rarely arrives because wealth is not created by waiting. Wealth is created by movement, decisions, habits, and financial education. Imagine starting with only $100 in your pocket. To most people, that amount seems insignificant. It feels too small to matter and too small to change a future. But the wealthy think differently. They understand that money is not the most valuable asset. The most valuable asset is the ability to turn a small resource into a larger one through knowledge and action. This is one of the most powerful lessons associated with Robert T. Kiyosaki. He often emphasizes that financial success begins in the mind long before it appears in a bank account. A person with financial intelligence can create wealth from very little, while a person without financial intelligence can lose millions. The journey from $100 to financial freedom does not begin with a magical investment. It begins with a change in perspective. Instead of asking how much money is available, the future investor asks how that money can be multiplied. Instead of focusing on limitations, the future entrepreneur focuses on possibilities. Rich people understand that every large fortune once started as something small. Every successful business was once an idea. Every investment portfolio was once a single investment. Every asset owner was once a beginner who knew almost nothing. The difference is that they started before they felt ready. If Rich Dad were beginning today with only $100, the first investment would not necessarily be in stocks, real estate, or businesses. The first investment would be in knowledge. Financial education creates opportunities that ordinary people never see. Learning how money works changes the way decisions are made. It reveals the difference between assets and liabilities. It teaches how cash flow is created. It develops the ability to recognize opportunities hidden in plain sight. $100 spent on gaining valuable knowledge can produce returns for decades. The average person spends money seeking comfort, entertainment, and temporary pleasure. The future wealthy person spends money seeking skills, understanding, and opportunities. That difference appears small in the beginning, but over time, it creates a massive gap between two lives. One path leads toward dependence on earned income, while the other path leads toward ownership and financial growth. Wealth building is not about the size of the first step, it is about the direction of the first step. The person who starts with $100 and the right mindset is already moving closer to financial freedom than the person who has $10,000 but never takes action. Success belongs to those who begin before circumstances become perfect. Once the mindset has changed, the next step is learning how to transform a small amount of capital into productive assets. This is where most people become discouraged because they focus on speed rather than direction. They want immediate results, instant profits, and overnight success. However, wealth does not usually grow in dramatic leaps. It grows through consistent and intelligent decisions repeated over time. If Rich Dad were starting with only $100, every dollar would be treated like an employee with a specific job. Instead of spending money on liabilities that remove cash from the pocket, the focus would be on acquiring assets that have the potential to generate future income. A small online business, educational resources, digital products, valuable skills, or carefully selected investments could all become starting points. The actual vehicle matters less than the principle behind it. The principle is simple: make money, work harder than you work. Many people spend their entire lives working for money, yet the wealthy spend their lives building systems that allow money to work for them. At first, the difference seems invisible. The worker earns a paycheck and feels secure. The investor earns very little and appears to be moving slowly. But beneath the surface, a powerful transformation is taking place. Every asset acquired creates a foundation for future growth. Every lesson learned increases financial intelligence. Every calculated risk expands experience. Then comes the stage where most people quit. This is the stage that tests commitment. Weeks pass, months pass, results seem small, progress appears almost invisible. Friends and family may question the effort. Doubt begins to whisper that nothing is changing. This is where suspense enters the journey, because the greatest financial breakthroughs often happen just after the period when most people give up. The future remains hidden, the rewards are not yet visible. The sacrifices feel real, but the results seem distant. Many people turn back at this exact moment. They return to old habits, familiar routines, and comfortable excuses. They convince themselves that wealth is reserved for those who were born lucky, connected, or wealthy. Yet those who continue moving forward discover something remarkable. Small actions begin to compound. Knowledge starts creating opportunities. Opportunities start generating income. Income starts purchasing more assets. Assets begin producing additional cash flow. Suddenly, what looked like slow progress becomes accelerating momentum. This is the power of compounding, one of the most underestimated forces in financial success. A tiny seed becomes a tree, not because of one extraordinary day, but because of thousands of ordinary days. Wealth follows the same pattern. The person who understands this principle gains an enormous advantage over those chasing shortcuts. Robert T. Kiyosaki often highlights that financial freedom is not achieved through luck, but through systems and understanding. The goal is not merely to accumulate money. The goal is to create a machine that continuously produces value. Starting with $100 teaches an important lesson that many wealthy people eventually learn. Resources are rarely the problem. Creativity, discipline, persistence, and financial education are often the missing ingredients. When those qualities are developed, even a small amount of capital can become the beginning of something much larger than anyone imagined. The ultimate lesson is that wealth is never a destination reached by chance. It is a process built through countless decisions made long before success becomes visible to others. Starting with only $100 is not a disadvantage when viewed through the lens of financial intelligence. In many ways, it can become an advantage because it forces creativity, discipline, and focus from the very beginning. People who start with abundant resources sometimes develop careless habits because they believe money will always be available. Those who start with limited capital learn to respect every dollar, analyze every opportunity, and maximize every resource. These habits often become the foundation of lasting wealth. If Rich Dad were building wealth today from scratch, the mission would not be to impress people with expensive possessions. The mission would be to acquire assets, increase knowledge, and strengthen cash flow. Wealthy thinking is fundamentally different from ordinary thinking. The average person asks what can be purchased today. The financially educated person asks what can create income tomorrow. One mindset consumes resources, the other mindset multiplies them. This distinction may appear simple, but it changes everything. The future belongs to individuals who understand that financial freedom is earned through ownership rather than dependence. Every skill learned, every book studied, every asset acquired, and every intelligent decision made creates another brick in the foundation of a prosperous life. The most exciting reality is that anyone can begin this journey. The starting amount matters far less than the willingness to start. Too many dreams remain unrealized because people believe they need more money before taking action. They wait for confidence before acting, not realizing that confidence is often created by action itself. They wait for certainty before moving, not realizing that certainty rarely exists in any worthwhile endeavor. The individuals who eventually achieve financial freedom are not necessarily the smartest, luckiest, or most talented. They are often the ones who refuse to stop learning, refuse to stop adapting, and refuse to let temporary setbacks define their future. They understand that mistakes are tuition payments for financial education. They view obstacles as lessons rather than barriers. They recognize opportunities where others see limitations. This is why a person starting with $100 today may be in a better position than someone with far greater resources, but no vision, no discipline, and no commitment. The size of the beginning does not determine the size of the ending. What determines the ending is the mindset carried throughout the journey. Robert T. Kiyosaki has inspired millions to rethink their relationship with money, and one of the most powerful lessons is that financial freedom begins when a person decides to take responsibility for their financial future. The opportunity to start exists right now. The knowledge is available. The tools are accessible. The only remaining question is whether action will be taken today or postponed until another year passes. Every great financial story begins with a single decision. Make that decision now, take the first step, and allow time, learning, and persistence to transform a small beginning into extraordinary results. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.